As a mom and a high school volleyball coach, I hope I'm not alone in this feeling of no matter what I do, I feel like I'm failing someone. Like I'm not giving quite enough to my team, but also not giving quite enough to my family. And somehow you're supposed to still also like take care of yourself. Now, for a long time, I thought I was the only one who felt like this until I honestly almost quit coaching altogether this past fall. And the breaking point happened when my husband and I, both coaching, me in volleyball, him in football, our schedules were literally insane. Our kids were constantly being shuffled around. At one point, I had to make the decision like somebody has to step back. He stepped down. And while it was the right choice for our family, I still wrestled with guilt. I wondered if it was selfish of me to keep going, if I should have been the one to step down. And even to this day, I still struggle with balancing the demands of both of these full-time jobs. I feel like we got like multiple full-time jobs happening. But those moments force me to figure out what balance really looks like if I'm going to stay in this coaching game, not just for me, but for my family. And today I want to share with you what I've learned around the realities of coaching and motherhood and three strategies that have helped me so that you don't have to get to the point of wanting to quit. And I haven't met you. I'm Coach Bree. I am a mental performance coach for athletes. I'm a longtime head volleyball coach and I'm a mom, and I know firsthand what it's like juggling, building an elite program while also balancing life as a woman and a mom in coaching. And that is exactly why I created the Coach Your Game podcast for coaches who want to develop confident, mentally tough athletes while also staying true to who they are. And one of those things is being a mom. And so let's talk about it, the reality of it. And honestly, I didn't hear a lot of coaches talking about this. While I had female coaches growing up, I didn't really see their families. I didn't know, like, from my point of view, it's like you just literally are superwoman, I suppose. And we are, but the struggle is real. Coaching feels all consuming. Your team needs you, your staff needs you, your athletes and parents need you. Meanwhile, at home, your kids need you, your partner needs you, the house needs you. And somewhere you're supposed to like also do some self-care and take care of yourself, like work out and eat well and all of this. And, while both are fulfilling, both are rewarding, they can tug at each other. There's a lot of times where I'm at a game and, it's Halloween, I'm missing trick-or-treating with my kids. There's time where I'm with my kids and I'm like, oh, I really should be thinking about that practice plan. And I am not alone in this feeling that moms often feel this more than dads, because society does still expect, like even now, even today, still expects women to be the primary caretakers, even when we're working full time. Okay. Even though I'm full time in my business, I am full time coaching when we're in season. The invisible load of keeping track of all the school events, the doctor's appointments, the meal planning, the emotional labor. Like even when I was at practice, my mind was still running through what needed to be done at home and the doctor's appointment that I need to schedule. And when I was at home, I was thinking about my team, never fully present anywhere. So in order to find this balance, it's tough. Okay. Like I said, I got to the point where I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And so we have to rethink how we're doing it. So 3 things that have helped me. I'm hoping that they're going to help you if you're in the same boat, because I love both, right? I love my family. I love my partner. I love coaching, and I want to do it all. And I know at some point that might not be possible depending on the priorities. And we can talk about that in another episode around when it is time to walk away, because sometimes we do get to that point. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to actually walk away, but I was ready to be done feeling like I was overwhelmed and doing everything myself. And so how I've learned to balance coaching with motherhood doesn't mean that you're doing everything perfectly. Okay. There's no way, but it does mean setting up your life in a way that actually works for you. And my kids now are at the age where this is where strategy number 1 comes in. I'm going to give you 3. Here's number 1. Involve the kids more. Okay. Instead of feeling like coaching pulls me away from my kids, I am now learning to find a way to bring them in. It used to be too stressful to bring them, right? It was like I couldn't actually coach because my 3-year-old was like needing things every 2 minutes. But now that my almost 7-year-old is a lot more capable, I do have her come to practice with me, especially open gyms, especially like when I'm not actively fully 100% coaching. She still needs to be occupied sometimes, but at this point she is a lot more self-sufficient and can kind of be integrated into things. And I love having her in the gym for a lot of reasons. First, she gets to be around good role models and good mentors. She gets to see me doing something that's pretty cool, honestly. Like coaching in front of, when my husband brings the kids to the games, it's pretty cool to have them in the stands and see kind of all the people there and what I do for a lot of hours away from them. And it's also just helpful for us to have that connection and just to be in the same gym together. So if you can, involving the kids more. Now I know that if you're listening to this, your kids could be at any age. And, my kids have been around it since they were babies in the ball cart. And so it's normal for them to be in the gym, but finding small moments to make it special, like pregame high fives, postgame traditions, like all of those things, are really meaningful. My daughter got to come to state this year for the first time, and that was awesome. She still talks about it. So like those things where I'm like, okay, I don't have to actually like separate them as much as I think I should if I can involve them. And the girls love, like my players love having the kids in the gym as well. So it's also like a win-win in many ways. Of course, I'm recognizing that it also can be stressful. So snacks are key here. I'm not opposed to screen time either. So, all those things, whatever you can do to make it work. Okay. Strategy number 2. This goes to the relationship balance. So I'm going to talk about my husband and I's relationship. To be honest, it was not equal. We were both working full time, right? We both were coaching at one point. He since has stopped coaching football, but now he still coaches track. But yeah, I was still doing the majority of the meal planning, the dinner making, the cleaning, like all of those things, the doctor's appointments, all this. And so we actually came across this system called the Fair Play system. I highly recommend that you look it up. I loved it. My husband maybe didn't at first, but he came around to it. So it's called the Fair Play system. It's actually a game. And we had these cards. It's like a deck of cards. There's going to be like 300 things in there of all the things that go into like running a family, and everything from like who does the birthday parties to the trash to the dishwasher to like who takes care of like the holiday magic. Like there's just things that you're like, oh yeah, that's actually a thing that lives in my brain that I didn't think about. And you literally go card by card and decide like whose responsibility is this. And when we say responsibility, it's from start to finish. It's like the conception of it, the idea, the execution, and the follow through. Like not the, for example, signing kids up for soccer. There's when is the deadline? What documents do you have in? Like signing them up, knowing when the practices are, knowing what the field schedule is. And then there's the actual like driving them to practice. And a lot of times, partners will think like, well, I drove them to practice, so I'm helping. And it's like, yeah, but then there's all this other like mental stuff that goes into like actually making that happen, making it possible that you can drive them to practice and like lining all that up. So if somebody has the card, they have like complete responsibility of it. Like they're the ones that from start to finish do it all. So it's not living, like no piece of it is living in your brain. So we did this activity and it has changed our relationship. It's changed my life. I know that sounds really dramatic and all, but it really has. Like there are now tasks, like big tasks in our household where I don't think about them anymore. So it's removed some of this like emotional load and this invisible labor because he is now taking responsibility for the whole thing. And I'm not having to like, oh, we need dishwasher detergent or we need laundry detergent. And like that doesn't live in my brain anymore because he has some of these other tasks. So that has helped a lot with the burnout because it's not just coaching. Like I know you're like, well, why are we talking about this? Because it all lives in your brain. That was my thing about burning out with coaching is that I had too much stuff in my brain. It wasn't just coaching stuff. It was the kids stuff. It was the house stuff. It was relationship. Like there's too much stuff to keep track of. And so if you can like offload some of that, and not just offload it, but like make it more fair, like that, it's a huge game changer. So there was that. Also, Sam Kelly, if you don't already follow her on Instagram, she is the creator of this concept of notice and do, which has also been a game changer in our household. So I had her on our podcast with the Elite Competitor recently, just talking about this concept of like kids taking responsibility and like teaching your kids how to notice and do things around the house and take ownership and really breeding this idea that like it's not all on you. You're like, yes, you're the mom, but you don't do everything. Like this is not how it should be. And so, allowing them and teaching them how to take ownership is really key. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 1 to to kind of recap a little bit, is involve the kids more as much as you can, as much as possible, without making it like more stressful on you in what you're doing in your coaching. The relationship balance of the fair play system was a big key for us, kind of removing some of this invisible load. And number 3, delegate and let go. This is the hardest one. I only just recently started doing this because I felt like this was an ego thing for me as a coach, that I felt like I had to do everything myself, because if I didn't, then other people would be taking credit for it. Just totally honest there. Okay. And it wasn't until I had to like, there's a lot of personal development that like coaching brings up. I mentioned that in another episode, that like, you got to look at yourself a little bit. And, but that belief was, once I recognized what it was, I recognized it as like, this is contributing to my burnout, and it's contributing to me wanting to quit. That like, I can't let anybody else do the team bonding, because if they organize it and it goes really well and, does great things for our team, then people are going to think that like the person who organized it is better than me, or is a better coach, or a better, helper, like all of that. And I had to look at that and be like, is this really what I think? I think it is. Okay. Is that serving me? Is that helping me? No, it's not. Let it go. And there are things that are easier than others, right? So I love things related to like vision and culture and systems with leadership. So I'm going to keep those things. I love, like, I'm not giving away practice. Practice is my baby. That's where we get better. I'm not giving away practice planning. So, and not that anyone actually would want to do that, but, but other things like the road trip on the way to a tournament, I don't need to be the one organizing the scavenger hunt. Like, I'm okay with a parent doing that. Like, let them, they're going to get the glory. Great. Okay. I don't have to do that. Delegate and let go of doing it all. Allow your coaches to take more responsibility. I still am having a hard time with that. But they want to do stuff. They want to lead. They want to have responsibilities. They don't want to just like stand around and like, just kind of be there, right? They want to do things. They want to feel important. So, give them things to do. So that is something that is a work in progress for me, but it's such a relief to let go of some of those things. I offloaded a lot onto, I actually decided to create a position and give some of my stipend to this position. We're not in coaching for the money anyways, right? Right, people? But I gave some of my stipend to this position as like an operations manager, I guess, that oversees, our program, so that the person who held this role could help me with some of the team camps, with the kids clinics, with collecting the money for the pumpkin patch, filling out disbursement forms, transportation requests, like all of those things that some of it just all of it naturally falls on the head coach. But like, if I can find a way to allow other people to do that and put roles in place, then it just makes a world of difference, so that I can be freed up to do what I love to do, which is actually coaching, which actually turns out to be not as much part of the game as what you think it is when you first get into it, and teaching the mental side of the game. Like, those are my 2 enormous passions. So delegate, let it go. It's going to be okay, and it's actually going to be better. The last thing I'll add, this is kind of a bonus, is this whole self-care situation and how taking care of ourselves is important. And I used to, during the season, this might come as a surprise because I am really into working out, CrossFit, taking care of myself, all of that. But I used to literally, for the 3 to 4 months that I was in season, say, I am not working out. I'm not working out. I'm just not doing it. And so my health would literally go to trash for like 3 to 4 months of the year. When you think about it, that's like a quarter to a third of the year that I'm just like, F it, and while I'm not saying that that it might not be possible to work out in the same capacity as you would be before, I had to really look at that and be like, is that true? Like, do I really just like totally trash my health? Like get low sleep, high stress, no movement, might as well just not eat well on top of it all. And then like by the end of the season, I was getting sick. I was like not in the best shape, not just like health-wise, but like mentally. And so and then it would take me a while to like get back on the train, like get back into a rhythm and routine, just with enough time to like swing right back into the season. So it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I am prioritizing myself. I'm finding a way to get into the gym and lift at least 3 days a week during the season. I I find that the season is like just the right amount of time also to kind of like hone in on a goal around sleep or steps or water intake, something like that. And having that goal really helps me kind of stay focused on that in season. It gives me back some control. That might sound odd as well, but sometimes in a season, things seem out of control. You can't control the wins, the losses, all of that, but you can control like what you're fueling your body with, how much you're sleeping, for the most part. Some of that sleep stuff can feel like it's out of your control too, but what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, how often you're moving, like all of those things are something that I was like, okay, these are my anchors that I can control in my life, and they make me feel physically better and mentally better. So I was like, let's stop lying to ourselves that I can't work out for 3 to 4 months. I can. I can wake up early. I can go to the gym at 6 a.m. I can make that work. I can go on a walk on my lunch, right? Like there's times that we can fit this in. And honestly, it makes me way happier to be around. It gives me a lot more mental clarity to be a better coach. So I would also say pick a habit related to your health that you want to focus on for the season, whether that be like journaling, meditating, walking, sleeping, water, some sort of food thing. Like it could literally be anything, but if you kind of can hone in on it, that can really help. And it just makes you so that when you end the season, you're not just like in this big crash and burn. Okay, a quick recap. Number one, involve the kids more if you can. Fair play, create some of that relationship balance, take off the mental load, and delegate and let go. And as a final thought, if you're struggling to balance it all, just know you're not alone. You're not failing. You don't have to quit to make it work. Now, that's another conversation around when is it time to step away. I totally get that. But know that you're not alone in this feeling, especially if you are a mom or you're thinking about becoming a mom. You're like, how's this going to work with coaching? You kind of just fall into it, and you just know that it works out, and you've got to have a village around you. I've also had years where, when my kids were younger, I had parents helping out with some of the childcare in the gym when I needed it. And, you just got to lean on those people that are around you because they actually do want to help. All right. If this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and share it with another coach who needs to hear it. I'm Coach Bree. Coaches, I will see you in the next episode of the Coach Her Game podcast.